called bean initialization and what is called bean destruction, right? Then we are going to see bean life cycle. You should know about what is the life cycle of a spring bean and what are the different stages of the bean life cycle, because bean life cycle is also an important question for you in the interviews point of view. So till bean life cycle, we are going to work with XML. And once you got to know about bean life cycle, then immediately next we are going to start with the annotations. We are going to start with the annotations. So annotations are more important than writing in XML file, but these concepts are important for you in the interviews. Bean life cycle, bean auto wiring strategies, okay, circular dependency, difference between constructor injection, setter injection, difference between dependency lookup and dependency injection, right? Who is a spring container, types of spring containers. So these are all the very, very important questions that you are going to get and face in the interviews. Okay, that's why first you must know about all these things. Then we have to enter into annotations. So today we are going to look at about a concept called as bean auto wiring. And before we start with the auto wiring, let us recap our differences between what and what injections, constructor injection and setter injection. So there is a difference between constructor injection and setter injection. So in the last class that we have discussed about what the differences that we can find between the constructor injection and the setter injection. So we are going to just recap once and then we are going to write the statements. After once you got to know, then we'll start and discuss about a bean auto wiring. So at the initial days of spring, whatever you are learning, that is going to be very important for the interviews point of view. Okay, right? That is going to be very, very important. Once we enter into Spring Boot and once we complete the initial classes, remaining all coding part, remaining all creating the controllers, creating the service classes, creating the repository classes, like that, we are going to write all the coding part. But theoretically, as well as interviews point of view, these initial classes are going to play very important role. So that everybody is going to get the questions on this Spring Core module, especially even in annotations also. So in Spring, everything important. Some XML knowledge is important, more annotations knowledge is also important. And each and every annotation will play an important role. And you must know about annotations also perfectly. So now today we are going to discuss about a concept called as bean auto wiring. So before I start with the bean auto wiring, actually what I'm trying to explain you today, I want to talk about guys. We want to write the difference between what and what types of dependence injections, constructor injection and setter injection. So let me add a difference between constructor and setter injection. So this is going to be a very important question for interviews point of view. So first, in the last session, in the last class, I have explained you something like this. What I have explained in the last class, for example, if there is a circular dependency problem, there is a circular dependency issue, then I told you circular dependency problem can be solved with setter injection, but circular dependency problem cannot be solved with. So constructor dependency injection means which is called constructor injection. Constructor injection cannot provide a solution for circular dependency problem, but setter injection will provide what? Solution for the circular dependency issue. That's the first difference we got it. Let me add this. Yesterday I already explained, so that's why I just want to write directly the answer. See, one side I am writing constructor and other side I am writing setter. One side I am writing constructor injection. And the other side I am writing setter injection. Let's add the differences over here. Okay, let me add the differences between what and what injections now? Constructor injection and setter injection. So in this, the first difference we want to write. Difference number 1. difference number one. Tell me what the first difference? Circular dependency. Circular dependency problem. Cannot be resolved. Cannot be resolved with what injection? Constructor injection. Circular dependency problem cannot be resolved with what injection? Constructor injection. But it can be resolved with what injection? Setter injection. So I'm just going to write other side, setter injection. You have the space. Okay. Right. So now I want to write again the first difference for setter injection. Right. Tell me what the first point I want to write here? Circular dependency. Tell me. Circular dependency problem can be resolved. Can be resolved through? Yes. Can be resolved through setter injection. Next, what is the other difference between constructor and setter injection? The second difference now. So I told in the last session that suppose you want to make the dependencies as immutable. You want to make the dependencies as what? Immutable. If you want to make the dependencies as immutable, then you have to use what? Constructor. Because constructor is executed automatically whenever the object is created. After once object is created, you can't modify the value or you can modify the dependency because you are not defining a setter method. You are not defining a setter method. So that's why you can't set the value again, which means you want to make your dependency as immutable. You want to make the dependency as what? Immutable. So if you want to make any dependency as immutable, then tell me which type of injection is preferred? Constructor. To make a dependency as immutable, use constructor injection. To make a dependency as mutable, mutable means what? Change. After injecting the dependency, you can also change it. How do you change it? By calling the setter method. You can call the setter method any number of times, but can you call the constructor? No. Constructor is called automatically whenever the object is created. After that, you cannot call the constructor one more time. Am I right or not? If you want to call the constructor one more time to create one more object. If you want to call the constructor again, you have to create again one more object. But you can't call the constructor one more time for the same object. Am I right? So that's why in the last class already I have explained. Just I want to write today's statements only. Okay, tell me to make a dependency as immutable, use what injection? Constructor injection. Constructor injection. Tell me if you want to make the dependency as mutable, to make a dependency, guys, tell me to make a dependency as what? Mutable. To make a dependency as mutable, use what? Setter injection. Okay. Now let us add the third difference, guys. Could you guys tell me what the other difference I told in the last class? Third difference.
We can pass multiple dependencies of multiple parameters.
Suppose you have a constructor, guys. Suppose you have a constructor. Tell me with a constructor at a time, only one dependency can be injected or multiple dependencies also can be injected? Multiple, because a constructor can have multiple parameters. But what about setter method? For a setter method, can you write multiple parameters? Now, always a setter method contains how many parameters? Single parameter, which means with the setter injection, how many dependencies can be injected at a time? Only one. With a constructor, how many dependencies can be injected at a time? Multiple, because a constructor can have multiple parameters, but a setter method can have only one parameter. Okay, so we can inject multiple dependencies. Yesterday's class important to understand today's differences. Okay, we can inject multiple dependencies at a time with a constructor injection. Guys, tell me the third from this side. Tell me, we can inject sir, how many? We can inject only a single dependency at a time. One dependency, that's called single. We can inject only a single dependency at a time. At a time with the setter injection. Tell me, what is the other difference between constructor and setter? Very good. Suppose a dependency is a final variable. If a dependency has a final variable, final means finalized, fixed, constant in Java. If it is a final variable, can you define setter method to the final variable? I told already, for a final variable, you can define only the getter methods, but you cannot define what? Setter methods. Setter methods we can't define with what? Final variable. For a final variable, we can only define what? For a final variable, we can only define what? Getter methods, but we cannot define what? Setter methods. Setter methods. So, if it is a final variable, then definitely we have to inject through only constructor. If it is a final variable, we can assign the value to the final variable only through constructor, but we cannot set the value through setter method. So, what's the difference now? What's the difference now? If a variable or if a dependency better, if a dependency is a final, then it can be injected through constructor. Tell me, if a dependency is final, then it can be injected through constructor injection. Tell me, can we do it with the setter injection? No. So that's the difference only na fourth point. Now, what's the fourth point here? If a dependency is a final, then it cannot be injected. It cannot be injected through setter, because you can't define setter method for the final variable. Tell me, any other difference is there between constructor injection, setter injection? Circular dependency is the first point already covered. Okay, any other difference between the constructor injection, setter injection? Can you guys tell me? Can you find any other difference between constructor injection, setter injection is my question, guys. Somebody from online, anybody can tell me. My question is, can you find any other difference between the constructor injection and the setter injection? That's my question. Can you find any difference between constructor injection, setter injection? Any other difference is there? Yeah. Can you find any other difference between constructor injection, setter injection? The question. So can you guys tell me any difference is there? Any difference you are finding, guys? Anybody? This is the fourth difference, I agree. But tell me any other difference is there between constructor injection, setter injection?
By property tag or constructor injection be mentioning by
okay, that is a tag difference.
Underscore.
In the XML file, for constructor injection, we use constructor-arg tag. And for setter injection XML file, we are going to write what tag? Property tag. Okay, that is a configuration part. I'm asking about any other difference. That's a configuration difference. Any other difference?
Constructor will be called at the time of object creation. Setter method will be called after object creation.
That's okay. Good. Okay. I mean, that's what the intention of constructor and setter. But there is one more difference. Okay, one more difference that you need to catch. Setter must be provided first. It is not like that. Only in circular dependency we should do that. Okay, Ashwini, that is only in circular dependency, not in other cases. There is one more difference. Please try to understand here. Okay, let's go. See, guys, see what I'm trying to say here is, see, for example, don't worry, I'll tell you. There is one more difference. I just want to tell you. See. Okay, let me write here. Done. Let me write. See, my intention is, guys, observe it. My intention is, suppose, just simple example I'm taking. Suppose I have created one class, sir. public class. Okay, class name can be something, doesn't matter whatever the class name is. Let's say, for example, class name is class A. There is a variable called private int x. And I'm defining a constructor public class name and the constructor name both must match now. So that's why I'm writing class A of what I'm writing int x. So then you tell me here I'm going to write this dot x is equal to. Am I clear with this? Class A of int x, this dot x is equal to x. Please try to understand here, guys. Now this is constructor, right? Even I also want to define setter method. Can you guys tell me how to define setter method to this variable? Public void set x of int x. You people know how to define the setter method and the getter method. You people know about how to define the setter getter methods. I have a question to you. This is main class, another class which is main. So in this main class, I have the main method. Okay, I'm not running completely, just observe it. Main method. In this main method, I want to create the object for class A. Tell me, how do you create object for class A? Class A CA equals to new class A of. Tell me, in class A, there is a constructor with a parameter. While creating an object, you must provide the value to the constructor parameter also. While creating an object, you must provide the value to the constructor parameter. Let's say I'm passing the value 10. Tell me, what's the value of x now? 10. According to Spring terminology, this is called one dependency variable. Because in Spring, in a class, if you write any variables, they are all called as dependency variables. Now tell me, x is also one dependency variable. Now this x is a primitive type dependency variable. What type dependency? Primitive type. Okay, good. Now you tell me, what the value injected? So the x, what the value injected? 10. My question to you, can I again call CA dot set x with value 20? Can I add this statement in my code? Yes. Now you tell me, if I call set x method and pass the value 20, now can you guys tell me what the value in this dependency variable? 20. Value modified or not? Tell me, with constructor, how much value is injected to this x? 10. By calling setter method, is updated to how much now? It is changed to 20. Which means you can understand the point here. We can understand the point here. If a dependency is injected through constructor, if a dependency is injected through constructor, then tell me, that can be modified with a setter or not? Obviously. Tell me, what the value injected through constructor? 10. With a setter, I am changing to what? 20. Right? Suppose if a dependency is injected through setter, for example, there is no constructor available, feel that. Feel that no constructor available means there is a default constructor created by JVM. No value I'm passing. Now you tell me, there is no constructor like this. So then who will create a constructor if explicitly no constructor is created in a class? JVM, which is called default constructor. Now you tell me, there is no parameterized constructor, only default constructor. Now tell me, I am setting the value x value 20. Now tell me, can I change this value 20 to 30 or 20 or 10 or with a constructor? The value is injected through which method? Setter. Can I modify this value with constructor? No. Because constructor is called automatically whenever the object is created. After that, you cannot call again. Which means, what is the difference you understood now? If a dependency is injected through constructor,
To modify the
it can be modified with again setter. But if a dependency injected through setter, that cannot be modified through constructor. There is a difference between injecting a dependency through constructor and also injecting a dependency through setter. Able to follow me? Did you guys understood the point? Okay. I have a question to you. Please try to understand. For some time, please try to understand, sir. Please try to understand. For some time, you guys feel that I don't have a setter method. For some time, I have only the constructor. Then tell me, while constructing the object using the syntax, then I must provide the value to the constructor parameter. Yes, 20. Then tell me, what is the value injected to the dependency variable? 20. X value 20. Please try to understand this point. This point is clear now? Tell me what is not available? Setter method. Only what is available? Means what this class has defined only a constructor for injecting the dependency. Very good. Tell me, if the constructor has parameter, while constructing the object, we must provide the value to the parameters. We must pass the value to the parameters. Yes. So how much value I am passing? 20. This 20 is injected to this dependency variable x now. So what is the value of x now? 20. I have a question to you. Please try to understand it. I have a question to you. Now, the next assumption, I don't have constructor. Assume that. Then tell me, if I don't create any constructor explicitly, then JVM has created one default constructor, which is parameterless constructor. I have a question to you. If I don't call the setter method, I don't want to call. If I don't call the setter method, could you guys tell me what the value of this dependency variable x? 0. Because it's an integer variable. What's the default value of integer variable? 0. Tell me, if I don't call the setter method, then tell me this dependency variable is injected or not injected? Not injected. If the value is not injected to the dependency variable, then it is going to contain its default value called 0 or not? Yes. Which means, you please try to understand the difference between constructor and setter. Suppose if a dependency is mandatory, compulsory, if it is a mandatory dependency, which is nothing but what? Compulsory dependency, then what? Use constructor for injecting it. Because in the bean tag, if it is constructor injection, what tag you are going to write? Constructor hyphen arg. Suppose you forget this tag, you forget it. You are writing XML file, you forget this tag. If you forget this constructor hyphen arg tag, you will get exceptions. What will you get? Exceptions when you run the program. You able to follow me? But if you forget a property tag, if you forget writing the property tag, if you forget writing what? If you forget writing what? Property tag. If you forget writing the property tag, you are not going to get any exceptions. If you forget to write the property tag, then the Spring container does not call the setter method. So Spring container is not calling the setter method. The dependency is injected or not injected? Not injected. If it is not injected, then the dependency variable contains its default value or not. If it is a primitive variable, it is going to contain the 0 or 0.0. If it is a Boolean variable, false, like that. If it is a reference variable, it will contain the value null. If it is a reference variable, it contains what? Default value null. Which means, if a dependency is a mandatory, if there is any mandatory dependency, it's compulsory dependency required for this class, then you tell me Which one is better to use? Constructor injection. If you want to make injecting a dependency is optional, then what? Setter. Because if you forget to write the property tag, you will not get any exception. But if you forget to write constructor-arg tag, then you'll definitely get what? Exceptions. There are two more differences I have explained to you right now. There are totally 6 differences are there between the constructor injection and the setter injection. So out of which I have explained how many now currently? 2. Already have written 4. 4 plus 2, 6. We are done. Exactly 6 differences are there. Not less, not more. Tell me 4 differences I have written here. Okay. Now fifth one. Fifth one, guys. Fifth one. Fifth one. Let me write the fifth one. First, let's complete. Okay, fifth one. So fifth one, what the difference I want to write here? If a dependency is injected through constructor, tell me, if a dependency is injected through constructor, then it can be changed, modified or changed. Then it can be changed through, setter also, or it can be changed through setter. Reason is what? What's the reason for that? Constructor is executed only when the object is created, but setter method we can call after creating the object any number of times. Okay, so it can be changed through setter. What is the opposite side difference? Difference number 5. If a dependency is injected through what, guys? If a dependency is injected through what? Setter. Setter. Then it cannot be changed through. It cannot be changed through setter. It's constructor. Okay, nice. Tell me what the final difference? 6th difference. So tell me, for injecting mandatory dependencies, use what? Constructor. And for injecting optional dependencies, use what? Setter. That's what you need to follow, right? So for injecting mandatory dependencies, use constructor injection. Similarly, tell me, for injecting optional dependencies, use setter injection. The differences between what and what injections? These are the differences between what and what injections? Constructor injection and the setter injection. Sure.
Every injection must contain the constructor.
Sorry?
Every injection must contain the constructor injection.
Every injection must contain the constructor injection is a wrong statement. No? Why?
By default, the variant creates the default constructor.
But doesn't inject any value. No? Do you have any parameters to the default constructor? It is called parameter less constructor, which means it doesn't have any parameters.
Being not acceptable, we can provide constructor.
No. When to write constructor-arg tag? If there is an argument in the constructor, then only you will write constructor-arg tag. No.
Setter injection, there is no default constructor.
Sorry.
In setter injection, there is no default constructor also.
See, setter is a method we create. Constructor is a default constructor created by the JVM, right? So default constructor is not for injecting anything because it does not contain parameters. If there are parameters, then that constructor can inject. Am I right? If there is a default constructor, it is parameterless. So it is not going to inject anything. It doesn't inject any value. It doesn't inject anything, right? So default constructor is not for injection. Only parameterized constructor is used for injecting the dependency, right? Right. So we got the difference between what and what injections? Constructor and setter injection. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the differences we got between the constructor injection and the setter injection. Now, let us understand about the next topic. So in the today's topic, next I'm going to talk about a concept called bean auto wiring. So first we need to understand about what is the meaning of auto wiring, and auto wiring is a facility available for what type of dependencies. Okay, right. Okay, I'll tell you now. So what is bean auto wiring? Actually, it is one facility that is available in Spring. It's a facility that Spring has provided, or the Spring container has provided a facility called bean auto wiring. So what happens in this bean auto wiring? I'll explain. See, suppose you have a dependent object and dependency object. I'll take example. I repeat once again, you have a dependent object and dependency object. For that, I should write some code. Okay, just like normal code I will write, later we'll see code with other example. Other classes will create and will write. It's not a problem. Please try to understand now. So guys, you are going to understand about bean auto wiring, which is again another important point. It's one of the facility that Spring Container has provided. So what will happen in auto wiring, I'm going to explain. First, let me write a small code here. Okay, see, for example, assume that you are writing one class called public class service A. You have created one service class called service A. Okay, and service A depends on service B. I'm not taking circular dependency. Don't worry about that. Yesterday I've explained that. Service A depends on service B, which means service A is called a dependent class and service B is called its a dependency class, because service A has a relationship with the service B. So service A is called dependent class, service B is called dependency class. Now inside this, I have defined a constructor or a setter for injecting the dependency. Okay, let's say for example, a setter method defined. I'm not writing, sir. Setter method is available. So which method I've created for injecting the dependency? Setter method I've defined. So this class has provided a setter method for injecting the dependency object. Please try to understand me. Tell me, how can we write the XML configuration? Let's say my XML file name is config.xml. Could you guys tell me how to write this XML file? Beans, bean, ID. Let's say ID is equal to Let me read, for example, ID is equal to SA. Next what? Class. Class is equal to fully qualified name. Okay, we are not discussing with the code. Will write fully qualified name. Presently service A. Tell me inside the bean there is a setter method. Property tag we have to write. Tell me property has a name attribute. Name equal to what's the name of the property? Service B is the name of the property. Tell me how to use value attribute or ref attribute here. Ref, why? Because a reference type. Ref is equal to what should be the ref attribute value? ID of the dependency class. ID of the, let's say for example, I'm writing SB. Who is SB? Dependency. ID of dependency class. Class is equal to service B. Guys, everyone, please understand this. Okay. Tell me, you are writing one property tag here. What are you writing? Property tag here. Tell me this property tag you are writing because it is a dependency of value type or an object type. It is a dependency of object type or value type. Object type. Reference variable, na? It is a dependency of what type? Object type. Very good. Try to understand now. Spring has provided one facility called bean auto wiring. What bean? Auto wiring. So what happens in this? Spring container automatically injects the dependency object by without writing any explicitly tags in the XML file. By without writing any configuration in the XML file. Means without writing any property tag. Okay. What happens in auto wiring now? In auto wiring, what happens by default? Without writing the configuration like this, property tag configuration. Without writing the property tag configuration or without writing the constructor-arg tag configuration, automatically Spring container only will inject the dependency objects. Means in auto wiring, tell me, I no need to write this tag. Which tag? Property tag. Then what to write, I'll tell you. In bean tag, there is an attribute available. Okay, because I don't have space here, I'm writing here. There is an attribute available called auto wire. One attribute is available called what? Auto wire. You have to specify auto wire attribute. The default value of the auto wire attribute is no. Default value is what? No. No means no auto wiring. Auto wiring is disabled. No means disabled. Now we have some auto wiring strategies available. I will talk about that. I'll talk about that. Don't worry. But you should write auto wire with some value. I'll tell you the value. Then tell me, if you write this auto wire attribute, then who will automatically inject the dependencies? Who will automatically inject the dependency objects without writing the tags like property tag or constructor-arg tag? Spring container will automatically inject. This is called bean auto wiring. Are you able to follow me? But one small thing. I'll tell. Strategies are there. Right, okay. Good. Next, come to the point. But this auto wiring facility that Spring container has provided only for injecting the objects. Dependency objects, not primitives. Not for primitives. Primitives means like integers or floats or doubles or boolean strings. Auto wiring does not work. Auto wiring will only work for objects. Tell me in this case, service A depends on service B. The dependency is a primitive type or object type? Object type. Dependency is an object here, not a value. So it's an object type. It will work. Good. Please try to, everybody, please try to understand. So for that, what is the attribute we are going to write, guys? Auto wire attribute you should write for bean tag. Like ID attribute, class attribute. Now you are learning one more attribute called what? Auto wire. This facility is called what wiring? Bean auto wiring. This facility is only available for injecting what and not for injecting what? For injecting the objects, but not for injecting the primitives, values. Very good. Try to understand now. And to enable this auto wiring, which attribute we should add? Auto wire attribute we have to add. We have to add what? Auto wire attribute we have to. Very good. There are some values are available for auto wire. Means auto wire also have different strategies. Different strategies. Auto wiring strategies. What is the default value of auto wire? No. The other values we can write for auto wire attribute are, one is called by name. Other one is by type. Okay. Next one is constructor. So tell me, if I add 4 values, fourth value is no. No is a default. What's the default value? No. What are the 3 more other values? By name, by type, constructor. These are called auto wiring strategies. All are for auto wiring only. But strategy is a different strategy. Are you able to follow me? Strategy is a, multiple sorting strategies are available. Sometimes you want to sort employee numbers based sorting. Sometimes you want salaries based sorting. Sometimes you want employee names sorting. Sometimes experience based sorting of employees. These are all called what? Different sorting strategies. That's what the meaning of strategies. Are you able to follow me now? Okay, right? Right, very good. So tell me, these are called different values for auto wire attribute, which are called auto wiring strategies. Okay, I'll tell you what happens if I write by name, what happens if I write by type, what container will do, I will explain you. But one point is very clear, auto wiring facility given by Spring Container is only for injecting the objects, but not for injecting the primitives, not for values. That's for sure. And the advantage of auto wiring facility is what? You no need to write the property tag or constructor-arg tag in the XML file for injecting the dependency objects. Able to follow me? So we can reduce the XML configuration. We can shrink it now. Very good. Which attribute we can write? Auto wire attribute. Auto wire. Okay. What is the meaning of word wiring? Okay, it's auto wiring is nothing but simply combining. Wiring is nothing but connecting. Wiring is for connecting. Connecting a dependent object with dependency objects is called wiring. Wiring is a word used for connecting. What and what you are connecting? Dependent dependencies. You are connecting. That's called wiring. That's what the meaning of wiring. Just general word called wiring. Okay? Right. Observe here. So what is the first strategy? By. Next one, by. The first 2 strategies will use setter method for injecting the dependency. Means they use setter injection. These two strategies will use what type of injection? Setter injection. Last value constructor will definitely use what injection? Constructor injection. The first 2 values are for setter injection. The next strategy is going to use constructor injection. Totally, how many values are available? How many values are available? 4 values are available. What is the default value? No. Which attribute we are going to write in the bean tag? Auto wire attribute. This is to enable what? Bean? Auto wiring for a bean. What is the benefit of auto wiring? What is the benefit of auto wiring? Sorry? What's the benefit of auto wiring?
Spring container itself
The container itself will inject the dependency objects without writing the XML tags like property tag or constructor hyphen arg tags. Who will automatically inject the dependency objects? Spring container. This concept is called bean auto. It's one of the facility given by Spring. We can use it. Good. So first let us understand what happens in by name. Suppose if I write auto_var is equal to by name. Everybody, I'm going to show it by writing code actually. But first let me explain with by name. Next I'm going to write the code. And with that code, first I explain by name, then by type, then constructor. You can see practically, visually. Am I right or not? Visually. Oh, correct. Because always, okay, always diagrams, whatever we see, that will store in our mind, right? Good. So we are going to see that. Right. I told many times why diagrams are more important. Diagrams, code, why it is more important is because you can remember it for a long time because it will print in our mind, right? It will print in our mind. Yes. If you concentrate, it will print. So we'll see that. So first I'll explain about what now auto_var is equal to what, guys? By name. Actually, what this by name value means, if I write auto_var is equal to by name, what the container do? If you set the value by name, then the Spring container, cleanly observe it. Spring container is going to search for a bean. Is going to search for a bean whose ID matching with the property name. Property name means variable name. It's going to search for a bean whose ID should match with variable name. Variable is reference variable name. So what's the reference variable name here? Service B. Amma baboy. ఏమిటి గోల? One minute. Disable చేస్తే సరిపోతుంది. Done. You can't draw now. Only I can draw. Come to the point. Good. Guys, okay. We are in serious note. Yeah. Auto_var is equal to what we are discussing here. By name. Sir, observe it. What will happen in by name? In by name, what happens? The container is actually going to find a bean. Its ID should match with reference variable name. If a bean ID matches with a variable name, reference variable name, the container will automatically call the setter method and it will inject that bean. It will automatically call which method? Setter method, and injects the dependency object. Tell me, in our case, tell me what's the name of the reference variable? Service B. What is the bean ID? Sorry, SB. Guys, tell me, both are matching or not matching? Not matching. Both are not matching. Because what container will do when you write by name? When you configure auto_var is equal to by name, immediately what the Spring container will do? The container will search for a bean whose ID should match with property name, otherwise variable name, reference variable name. Tell me what is the reference variable name? Service B. But what is the bean ID here? SB. Tell me, both are matching or not matching? Not matching. Not matching means the container does not find any bean. Then simply container does not inject the dependency object. Tell me if the dependency is not injected, what is the default value available in the service B variable? Null. Reference variable, na? Reference variable contains how much value? Null. What is the value of service B now? Null. Very good. Suppose, assume that, please understand, my reference variable name is SB. Tell me what the container will do, guys. Whenever you write by name, auto var is equal to by name, auto var attribute value as by name, then what the container will do first? It will search for what? Container is now going to search for what? A bean whose ID is matching with the variable name, reference variable name. Tell me, what is the reference variable name? SB. And what is the bean ID also? SB. Nothing but container will inject this service B object by calling which method? Setter method. Tell me, are you writing any tag for property? No. This is called by name strategy. What's the strategy name? By name is one auto varying strategy. Okay, please understand, sir. Let me write this time variable name service B. Please, sir, please understand. So I don't want to write by name. Suppose I want to use by type. Auto var is equal to what I'm writing? By type, sir. If I write by type as auto varying strategy, that everybody need to understand. Please try to understand this case. Okay, I'm writing slash close means this bean tag is closed, no? Yes. Auto var is equal to what now? By type. If I write bean auto var is equal to by type, if I write auto var is equal to by type, now the container is now going to search for the class of the variable, reference variable should match with a bean class. Means by type means the container is going to search for a bean class which should match with the type of the reference variable. This is called type of the reference variable. This is the name of the reference variable. What's the name of the reference variable? Service B. What's the type of the reference variable? Service B. So what container is going to search for? Bean ID or bean class? It is going to search for a bean class which should match with type of the reference variable. If both are matched, then container calls setter method and injects the bean, injects the object. Tell me, what is the difference between by name and by type? What is the difference between by name and by type strategies? Just in by name, container is going to search for a bean ID which should match with, is going to search for a bean whose ID should match with reference variable name. If matched, then the container injects that dependency object by calling the setter method. Then if not matched, dependency is not injected. Dependency is not injected. If not injected, the default value null will be there in the reference variable. Problem is clear. For the second strategy, in by type, what the container will do? Guys, in by type, the container will do what? The container is now going to check the bean class, is going to search for a bean class. It should match with the type of the reference variable. But the type of the reference variable here? Service B. Here the class is what? Service B. Match. Then tell me what the container will do. It will inject the dependency object by calling which method? Sir, suppose its name is SB. You tell me what the bean ID? SB. Reference variable name? SB. But auto var is equal to what the value of return? Now you tell me it is going to search for bean ID or bean class? Bean class. ID is not a matter now. Only class. Whether ID may be same or may not be same, but it only search for class. Only search for class. That's for sure. Because strategy is what? By type auto varying. Auto varying type is by type. Okay? Cool. Now, for the last value, constructor. Fully qualified class name only. It will consider only class name. Okay. It will, because already you are writing service B means its package you are importing on top. Service B class I'm using in service A means on top of this program we are writing import package for service B also. It will consider that. Good. Sir, one more. What the next value that I'm going to explain to you guys? Constructor. Constructor is straightforward. Tell me here, I am not defining setter method. What I'm defining? Constructor. Constructor for injecting the dependency object. Now tell me what the auto var is equal to I'm writing. Auto var is equal to what I'm writing, guys? Constructor I am writing. I am writing what? Constructor. You guys tell me if I write constructor over there, auto var is equal to what? Constructor. Then tell me what the container will do again. The container is again, understand, the container is again going to search for a bean class. Is going to search for a bean class matching with the type of the reference variable. Is going to search for a bean class matches with the type of the variable, reference variable, like by type only. But if matches, it will inject the dependency by calling the constructor. So tell me, what is the difference between by type and constructor? Searching strategy same, searching mechanism same, but injecting the dependency different. By type uses setter injection, constructor value uses constructor. For constructor value, constructor injection is used, and for by type value, setter injection. I have a question to you. What is the difference between by name and by type? Guys in online, you can also reply. What is the difference between by name and by type? In by name, the container is going to search for a bean ID, okay, which matches with, is going to search for a bean ID which matches with the reference variable name. That is called name matching. Am I right or not? So by type means name matching or type matching? Type means class. Class matching. This is variable matching. Name matching, class matching. Name matching is called by name. Class matching is called by type. Name matching, class matching. Simple 2 words. Able to follow me, right? But both uses setter method for injecting the dependency. You got the difference now? What the difference between by name and by type means? What's the answer? For by name, the container is going to search for what? A bean ID which matches with the reference variable name, right? And injects the dependency if matches, injects the dependency by calling setter method. Injects the dependency object by calling a setter method. But in by type, so tell me, in by type, what the container will do? Container is going to search for a bean class which matches with the type of the reference variable. If both are same, then injects the dependency object by calling the setter method. Injects the bean object by calling the setter method. Able to follow me? The small difference is there between by name and by type and constructor. By type constructor, searching strategy same, searching is same, but injection different. Are you able to follow me? Tell me constructor, what will happen? When you write auto var is equal to constructor, could you guys tell me what will happen in this case? The container is again going to search for a bean class which is matching with the type of the reference variable. If both are matched, then the container injects the dependency object by calling the constructor. That is called constructor injection. That's it. So you got to know auto varying strategies now. Yes, with the help of auto varying, what is the advantage? What is the advantage of auto var? We no need to configure. We no need to configure. The property tags are constructor hyphen ARG tags. And it is not only applicable for one dependency. It is not only applicable for one dependency, guys. For example, please understand, sir. For example, service A depends on service B and service C also. Tell me, these two are value type dependencies or object type dependencies? For object type dependencies, auto varying will work or not? Yes. Now you tell me, if I write auto var is equal to by name, for example, I'm writing by name. Please try to understand, sir. Auto varying is equal to by name. Setter methods are defined. Setters, two setters. Okay. Now you tell me when I write auto vary is equal to by name, the container is going to inject only the first dependency object or both the dependency objects? Only the first one is injected or both are injected? All the dependencies are injected. You have setter method for SB, setter method for SC. Two setters, na? Are you able to follow me? Of course, I have a bean. ID is equal to SC. Class is equal to service C. I have written already. Assume that. Okay. Now you tell me when I write auto vary is equal to by name, only the first dependency object injected or all the dependency objects are injected? All. Suppose first one found but second one not found. Then first one is injected, second one is not injected. If not injected, what is the default value? Null. That's it. We are done. Sorry.
Another one by type can be right.
No. If there are multiple dependencies for a bean, for one bean, one strategy. Good question. For one bean, one auto varying strategy. This is one bean, na? Here I can write auto variable for one time only, na? So for one bean, one strategy only. Either go for by name or go for by type. Not for one dependency by name and other dependency for by type. For single bean, container will not follow two strategies. Only it will follow one strategy. Now both are injected by name. What's the strategy? By name. If you write by type, both the dependencies are injected only by using by type strategy. By type. Like this. So how many auto varying strategies we can enable for one bean? Only one strategy. Two strategies we cannot apply for one bean. Able to follow me? Two strategies we cannot apply for one bean. For one bean we can apply only one strategy. Either auto vary is equal to by name or auto vary is equal to by type. Otherwise auto vary is equal to constructor. Am I clear with this, guys? So tell me, if there are two dependencies now, if I don't use auto varying concept, then tell me how many property tags I should write here? Two. If this service A depends on service B, C, D, E, F up to 10, then tell me how many times I should write the property tags here? 10 times. So XML is increasing. Now I can reduce all these things by using which attribute? Auto vary attribute. Did you guys understood how auto vary is getting an advantage here? It is one facility. It is one facility given by the Spring container for us. Did you guys understood about what is being auto varying? What is wiring? Wiring is nothing but what, guys? Connecting a dependent object with dependency objects with its collaborators. Collaborators means dependencies. Connecting a dependent object with its dependencies is called wiring. Are you able to follow me? Good. Is everybody clear online, guys? Or any question? Do you have any question? As of now, do you have any question? Am I clear? Okay. First, now, understand, sir. Now, let us start. I will write the statements. Don't worry. I'll explain. Then I will add the statements. I'll share the notes with you. Don't worry. First observe it. Because if I again start writing, it's going to be delayed. First, I'll explain. Same example we'll take up. No change. Let's say public class A. I'll show you practically also, but for the time being, I'm not going to start the project. If I start the project and all, by the time we are going to run out of time. So first, let me explain I want to raise some doubt. Sorry. It's a service here. Let us take service here. Service B, let's say SB. Doesn't matter, whatever it is. So then a setter method defined for this variable SB for injecting it. Now XML file, sir. Let's say my XML file is config.xml. Okay, let us use other colors also. Okay, I'll use this color, sir. See here, guys, what is the root tag? Beans. 3 lines are there, we are not writing. Next tag? Bean. Bean. ID is equal to SA. Class? Service A. Fully qualified name, I know. But for example explanation here, I'll let only class name. Sorry. Tell me other attribute which I want to add for this bean. AutoWire. See here, guys. AutoWire is equal to, I want to use by type. T capital, sir. B lowercase. It's a value for the AutoWire attribute. Next, I'm configuring bean. ID is equal to SB1. Not SB I'm using. No problem now, because what the AutoWire strategy? By type means the container is not going to search for a bean ID matching with the reference variable name. Am I right or not? That's why I can write ID is equal to SB1. Why not? Class is equal to what? Service B. Sir, I want to tell you one more spring point today is that same class you can configure in the XML file for multiple times also, but with the different IDs. You can configure same class for many times also in the Spring XML file, but with the different IDs. Okay. I want to configure the same class service B with one more ID. Next, I'll talk about bean scope, sir. All are very important, sir. You are going to get in interview all these questions only. Sorry. I don't have service C. I'm sorry. If you look at this, guys, slash na, close. Tell me, just now I told you, same class you can configure, means you can write in the XML file many times also with a different ID. Suppose if you write the same class 2 times with the different IDs, container also creates 2 objects. Container creates how many? For this bean tag, for this bean definition in the XML file, 1 object. For the second bean configuration tag, 1 more object. For the name of this object, SB2. 2 objects are created with different names. When you are writing in Core Java also, you have normally 1 class you are creating. For 1 class, can we create 2 objects or not? For 1 class, we can create multiple objects also. Any restriction is there? You must create only 1 object for 1 class, not more than 1, not less than 1. No restrictions. You guys need to tell me now. For the AutoWire strategy, by type. By type means what container will do? Will search for a bean class, matches with the type of the reference variable. But tell me, how many classes are matching? How many times the class is matching here? 2 times matching. Then the container will get a problem that I should inject object with name SB1 or SB2. Correct or not? Both are matching. How many objects are matching now? 2 objects are matching. What are the names? SB1 and SB2 both are matching. Whether I should inject SB1 object or SB2 object, which one? Able to follow me? Now container is now getting ambiguity. What is container getting? Now the container is getting an ambiguity, confusion. With this confusion, container will throw exception. Because of this confusion, ambiguity, what container will throw? exception. Exception. Are you able to follow me? Unsatisfied dependency exception. Unsatisfied dependency exception. Guys, you are going to get one exception called unsatisfied dependency exception. Before annotations, I want to give you ample of knowledge on XML. That's why I'm talking about all these things. Because these are all very important for you in the interview. They'll ask, tell me, what is the difference between auto-wire by name and auto-wire by type? It's a very important question. What's the difference between auto-wire by constructor, auto-wire by type? Are you able to follow me? These are all the questions repeated millions of times in various interviews. Okay. So in Spring, more questions you are going to get from the core module only. Remaining questions you will get on Spring REST API, get method, post method. You know already in Advanced Java class also. Difference between get and post method, which is idempotent method, which is not idempotent method. What is 405? What is 404? These are all okay. We can guess every question. Okay, every question we can guess. You simply follow the classes. That's it. You can answer each and every question without missing a single question in the interview. Okay, try to understand now. But please try to follow the class. So what is the exception we are going to get? Why? Why? There are one bean matching, multiple beans matching. Multiple. There are multiple beans matching with the property type. Property type. One bean with ID SB1, other bean with ID SB2. If it is by name, suppose by name is a strategy, then no ambiguity. Why? Because ID is unique. ID is what? Unique. Same ID SB 2 times I cannot write. It will give XML error. ID means unique, na? General normal ID is a unique, right? ID is a general word. Employee ID, customer ID. ID means what? Unique identification number. Unique. Tell me, do you have any such unsatisfied dependency exception problem in by name? No. But you have this problem in by type. Online guys, are you following the session? Can somebody confirm?
Sir, the by name, by type, you have a problem, sir, you are saying, right? But by name, you don't have a problem.
Yes.
But in this, IDs are all different, sir. In above the first line, bean ID SA, service A, auto-wire by type, right? So how come, why it is having problem with by type?
What by type will check? If suppose that auto-wire is called by type, what the container will do here? The container is going to search for a bean class matches with the type of the reference variable.
Okay.
So the bean class service B, bean class service B. How many times it found?
2 times.
2 times. That's why it is ambiguity.
Okay. So by type, but in the first line where it is showing bean ID SA class service A auto wire by type.
That's the strategy we are writing. Means we are enabling auto wiring for service A. Means what? Container is going to inject the dependencies of service A. Okay, whatever the dependencies are required for service A, it is going to inject with the help of auto wiring concept or auto wiring feature.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Now, there is a problem here. What's the problem we got? Unsatisfied dependency exception because of ambiguity. My question to you, will the ambiguity occur for constructor strategy? Auto wire is equal to constructor. Will occur? See, auto wire is equal to constructor also, I told you. Same searching. What auto wire is equal to constructor will do, you tell me? Suppose I write auto wire is equal to constructor. You guys tell me what will happen now. What container will do? Okay, tell me fastly what container will do. Container is going to search for a bean class matching with the type of the reference variable. Tell me, there are how many classes found? 2 classes. Both are matching with the property reference variable, type of reference variable service B. Again, there is a ambiguity. So this ambiguity problem will occur in two strategies. What and what? In by type and also in constructor. Very good. Please understand. Because of this ambiguity, what the container is doing? It is throwing an exception. Which exception? Unsatisfied dependency. Unsatisfied dependency exception will be thrown. Am I clear with that? Did everybody understood this? Excellent. To overcome this problem, if there are two classes, if you are configuring the same class for multiple times, you should specify higher priority for one bean. Should specify what? Higher priority. If you specify higher priority, then this exception will be resolved. If you specify higher priority, container will inject that object. Problem is solved. You have to specify higher priority, that's it. Sir, how can I specify higher priority is, there is one more attribute you are learning now, that is called primary. What is the attribute name? Primary. Okay, I am writing. I just want to conclude the class for today. Tomorrow again I'll explain with example code. But right now I want to write here primary. Spring is very, very important as well as very, very interesting also. Primary is equal to true. Excellent framework, sir. Primary is equal to true. Tell me for which bean I am writing primary attribute? For the ID SB2. Then tell me, if I write by type, I told just now ambiguity problem occurred. When ambiguity occurs, the container is going to search for primary. Primary means what? Higher priority. Higher priority. Tell me for higher priority is there for SB1 or SB2? Now tell me, will there is any problem now? No. Container injects what? Dependency object. With ID SB2, this object will be injected by calling which method? Setter method. The problem is solved or not? Yes, problem is solved. Problem is solved. Then tell me, because of which attribute? Primary. You learned one more thing now. So when to use primary attribute? When to use a primary attribute in a bean configuration type? If there are multiple beans are matching for the property type. Am I right or not? Then what problem will occur? Ambiguity. Because of ambiguity, what container will throw? Unsatisfied dependency exception. I'll show you tomorrow the exception class name also in code. Okay, right? To resolve this problem, which attribute will help us? Primary. Primary indicates what? High priority for injection. High priority for injection. Now you tell me if I write primary is equal to true, the problem is solved or not? But one more thing. You can't write primary is equal to true for both. Sir, what happens if I write the same primary is equal to true for this one also? Here also I am writing primary is equal to true, sir. Are you able to get my point? First of all, if you write like this, your XML is invalid. You are going to get exceptions. Your code does not run. Because for how many beans of the same type, you can write primary attribute? Only for one. So there is no problem with that. Am I clear with this now? We'll show you tomorrow. That's it for today. I have to start the next session. Guys, here we are going to stop. But tomorrow we'll see practically. And then I will share the notes with you. And so that you are going to know about completely bean auto wiring facility. Once after auto wiring is